Today, we dive into the world of volume and capacity. These can become quite confusing, so lock in your focus and pay close attention. Firstly, volume refers to the amount of space taken up in our world by an object. Volume can also refer to the amount of space taken up by a liquid inside of a container. For example, imagine I had a glass of water. This glass takes up space in the world, so it has volume, and the water takes up space inside the glass, so it has volume too. Here we can see that I have placed 50 milliliters of water inside the glass, so in this example, I would say that the water's volume is 50 milliliters. This means that it has taken up 50 milliliters of space within the glass. The glass, on the other hand, has been given a volume of 250 centimeters cubed, so this is the amount of space that the glass takes up in our world. Okay, but hang on a second. Why is there volume in milliliters and volume in centimeters cubed? Well, to explain this, let's dial it back for a moment. When we speak about area, we talk about counting the number of squares taken up by a 2D shape. So take this rectangle, for example. It's made up of 2 rows of 4 squares, which gives us 8 squares altogether. This means that this 2D shape takes up 8 centimeters squared of space. Volume is the space taken up by a 3D shape. And where we divide 2D shapes into squares for area, we divide 3D shapes into cubes for volume. Take this rectangular prism, for example. It's made up of cubes. There are a number of ways that we can count them, but either way, we can see that there are 24 cubes which make up this shape. This means that the volume of the prism is 24 centimeters cubed. Okay, but what about that glass of water? It was measured in milliliters. Well, yes, liquid is measured in liters and milliliters. But if we had to calculate the volume of the liquid, we would start by using 3D measurements of length, breadth, and height. These are all measured in centimeters or milliliters. So how do we go from having centimeters and millimeters to having milliliters and liters? Well, a long time ago, when the metric system of measurement was being established, some very clever people developed the system so that within a perfect cube measuring 1 centimeter all around, you could fit what they call 1 milliliter of liquid. When you find the volume of a 3D shape, you need to multiply the length, the breadth, and the height together. So for this particular cube, we can calculate its volume like this. We can say that the volume equals length times breadth times height, and in this case we're saying 1 centimeter times 1 centimeter times 1 centimeter, which gives us 1 centimeter cubed. If we can fit 1 milliliter of liquid inside 1 centimeter cubed, we can learn the following important rule. That 1 centimeter cubed is the same as 1 milliliter. But this also means that if 1 liter is the same as 1,000 milliliters, then it's safe to assume that 1 liter is also the same as 1,000 centimeters cubed. Okay, so what does this all mean then? Well, if we were measuring the volume of a solid, we leave our answers in centimeters cubed. But if we are measuring the volume of a liquid, we take our answer of centimeters cubed and convert it into milliliters, since liters is the metric standard for measuring liquid. Okay, so let's put this into practice with an example. Let's say that this is a glass vase with water inside. The vase has volume because it takes up space in our world, and the water has volume because it takes up space in the vase. So let's take a moment to understand these measurements before we calculate the different volumes in front of us. Firstly, the length and breadth shown at the bottom would be the same for the vase and the liquid, but there are 2 different heights shown. Since the 10 centimeter is greater than the 8 centimeter, we can assume that the vase stands 10 centimeters tall, while the water has the height of 8 centimeters. If it was the other way around, the water would be overflowing out of the vase. So let's calculate the volume of the water first. We know that volume is equal to length times breadth times height, so we will say 5 times 4 times 8. This gives me 160 centimeters cubed. But we're going to change that into 160 milliliters at the end. Since water is a liquid, we need to convert the 160 centimeters cubed into milliliters. Okay, so now let's work out the volume of the vase. We begin by saying that to find the volume, we take our length times breadth times height, which in this case would be 5 times 4 times 10, which gives us 200 centimeters cubed. As you can see, the volume of the vase is calculated the same way as the volume of the water, except that we keep it as 200 centimeters cubed since the vase is a solid. Okay, but hang on. In the beginning, we spoke about volume and capacity, so what happened to that word? Well, capacity refers to the amount of liquid or space found inside of a hollow object. This is also measured in milliliters and liters since it's referring to the total amount of liquid that the container can hold. Since the vase from our example is 200 centimeters cubed and liquid is measured in milliliters, we would need to convert this to say that the capacity of the vase is then 200 milliliters. Any more than that and the container would overflow. Of course, some objects are harder to calculate the volume since we can't go cutting them all up into perfect cubes. Take this rock for example. It has too many angles to accurately measure its volume. However, we can determine its approximate volume through a process called displacement. Let's say that this jug had a volume of 250 milliliters before the rock was added. Then, after the rock is added, the water level rises to 580 milliliters. This is the part we refer to as displacement. We can subtract these two numbers together to calculate the volume of the rock. So we would say 580 minus 250 equals 330. And I'm going to say 330 centimeters cubed since the rock is a solid and should be left with this unit of measurement. Okay, that was information overload, so let's recap the lesson with a couple notes. Firstly, volume is how much space is taken up by an object. It's also how much liquid is taken up inside a hollow shape. Volume is measured in centimeters cubed or millimeters cubed, but the volume of a liquid must be changed to milliliters or liters at the end. Capacity, on the other hand, is the total amount of available space for liquid in a container. Capacity is always measured in milliliters or liters. The second thing we've learnt is that to change volume into capacity, we must use the conversion rule that states that 1 centimeters cubed is the same as 1 milliliter. That means that 3 centimeters cubed is 3 milliliters. 15 milliliters is 15 centimeters cubed. Since 1 liter is the same as 1,000 milliliters, we can also say that 1 liter is the same as 1,000 centimeters cubed. This means that 4 liters is the same as 4,000 milliliters, which is also the same as 4,000 centimeters cubed. In its reverse, 19,000 centimeters cubed is the same as 19,000 milliliters, which is also the same as 19 liters. Lastly, we learned that displacement can be used to work out the volume of some irregular real-world objects. We do this by submerging an object into a liquid. We find the volume of the liquid measurement before and after the object was submerged, and then convert from milliliters to centimeters cubed. Pause the video and try the examples. In our first question, we are given a cube which measures 5 centimeters all round. We are also given a note which says that to find the volume of a cube, we just need to take the side and cube it. So to find the volume of this cube, we just need to take our side, which is 5 centimeters, and cube it, which is the same as saying 5 times 5 times 5, which gives me 125 centimeters cubed. In question 2, we've been given a picture of a fish tank, and we're also given the note that says to find the volume of a rectangular prism, we need to say length times breadth times height. Our first question wants us to find the volume of the water in the fish tank. So to do this, we would say volume equals length times breadth times height, which is 20 times 12 times 25, because the 25 shows the height of the water. This gives us 6,000 centimeters cubed, but we change this into 6,000 milliliters at the end because we are working with a liquid. Question B asks us to take our answer from question A and turn it into liters. 6,000 milliliters is the same as 6 liters. For our last question, we are asked to find the capacity of the fish tank, and they've asked us to leave our answer in liters. Well, we can't work out the capacity until we've calculated the volume of the fish tank first. So we will begin by saying volume equals length times breadth times height. This means that we would say 20 times 12 times 30, which gives us 7,200 centimeters cubed. Now that we've worked out the volume, we can convert to find the capacity. We can say that the capacity is 7,200 milliliters, which is then the same as 7,2 liters. All you need to do is learn your formulae and pay close attention to your notes, and then you'll be a master of this section in no time.